My name is Thire. I come from MJSL Group. I'm a quality consulting company. And I've got two clientels, the SMMEs and infrastructure development companies. My question is, I would like to believe that I read a lot. I've always been in the engineering space. There was a time I was aware of Begin Africa, and then there was a time it seemed to be dead. And I'm not sure if you are aware of it. If that is the case, I would like for you to take me through that deck. I was in the construction space, which is a very difficult sector for now. And with Begin being in that sector, I would like to understand what your take is with construction companies in the country, given what has happened post-2010. And lastly, this Africa trade thing. I like the fact that Begin has been in the forefront of getting to the continent. I would like for you to personally take us through your feel. How will it affect us as Africans after it has been announced versus before it was announced and giving the future?
Okay, thank you, Thire. I'm glad that you're in the same industry, so you understand the language that I'm trying to use.
Yes.
Okay, let me first start by saying that I'm not too sure what period was that Begin was dead. So maybe, let me say this. Begin changed its positioning.
Okay.
In 2010, as I was saying, when I became the CEO.
Okay.
So when I joined Begin, it was Begin Africa. So then we decided to make Begin Africa a South African-based business that focuses only in SADC.
Okay.
And then we created Begin Global, which is based in Mauritius, that looks after the rest of the continent.
Okay.
So as a group, we became Begin Group.
Okay.
So you see even the logo has changed. So you might have been looking for that block, which was designed by the engineers.
Okay.
It was a four-cornered block with Begin also four-cornered, straight lines like this. And then I created a fingerprint of multicolors. Where is my business card? Just give Thire my business card.
I think that's the logo I'm missing.
Yeah, so that's the logo that you are missing. So if you go to Begin, you have to go to begingroup.com.
Okay.
Yes. And then I think those days Begin was known as a smarter business approach. That's the engineers. And we are doing good while doing business. That's who we are. If you say Begin, you will see it. It says doing good while doing business. So that's the first question. Have I answered it fully?
Yes,
So you will find us when you go to begingroup.com.
Okay, then is this infrastructure group or engineering consulting?
So, okay, so what we did, we changed the whole full value chain of Begin. So Begin Africa was an engineering company. It was in engineering.
Okay.
So I come from an infrastructure financing background. As I said, I was at the DVSA.
Yes.
And then I said, the Lord gave me the vision of creating a full value chain of infrastructure development, from you identifying a piece of land and you say you want to build 100 units there, to us doing feasibility studies, which is part of the engineering component,
Yes.
and then doing pre-feasibility, and then we brought in people like, because it was only engineers, so we got commercial financing, people with corporate finance, and so we diluted the engineers.
Okay.
So now we're doing also project financing. So we work with the DVSA, with IDC, with Land Bank, with Standard Bank, with all commercial banks to finance infrastructure. So engineers would normally wait in the office for someone to come, I want you to design this road for me. Okay, so we say we will identify the opportunities, we will do feasibility study, we'll also prepare them, we do project preparation. So we prepare those projects, and those projects can be bought by anyone, any commercial bank or DVSA, whoever, to finance those projects. So we do huge projects. Most of the time we do mega projects. You know, like for example in Namibia, we're doing a multi-billion rand railway line in Walvis Bay and Transbank. And then in Botswana, for 10 years, we've been doing the North-South carrier. It's multi-billion hula, you know, and across the continent, many I can count. So then we don't do only, so engineering becomes a small component of doing the design.
Okay.
But remember, when you design, you can't construct. So then we work with, we used to work with Group 5, it's no more. And then we worked with Stephanie Stokes, with WBHO. They are contracted by us to build our designs. And then we do construction supervision. That's why we become in that component in the construction industry, just that particular component. But then we do more, because the infrastructure that is built requires financing. Yes. Some of the governments do not have money to finance infrastructure. Yeah. So we assist them in looking for financing. Part of Dr. Meg's role is also to speak with development financing institutions and other partners that have money that want to invest in infrastructure development. And then from there, then we do asset management. So once the infrastructure is built, it needs to be looked after. Yes. I was actually saying to somebody, it's so shocking that in some countries they build dams, but there's no security for dams. Just imagine if somebody goes kukai and go there into a dam and just poison the water, and what will happen? So we ensure that infrastructure assets are also looked after and maintained to make sure that there's no water leakage or potholes and all sorts of things, or a bridge collapsing. Thank God we have never had that. And all of those things happen. So we do that full value chain and we go around. So I think I've also answered your question on the construction space. Yes. As well. So the impact of the Africa Free Trade Agreement, I'm going to be very brief. It's a long story and I'll advise you to read it. It's got two phases. The first phase is what I spoke about on the free movement of goods, services, persons, and capital. So the second one is the identification of products that are regionally based. So every region of the continent would have a specification of a product that they are actually best known for. And as a continent, we need to agree in terms of the tariffs of those products, how they move from one country to the other, to allow the what we call the binational agreements that would define that particular product. You know, for example, West Africa is known for its technological, base in terms of science and technology. So what products are they going to produce that are important, that every aspect of the continent will ensure that they buy from that contract, from that product. So that's how, and as a continent, we want to be able to be in control of the products that leave the continent and those products that enter the continent. Currently, we know there's a lot of dumping of garbage. Sorry to use the word, but it's garbage because some of the things are actually not used. So Africa has become a dumping place. We've seen a lot of clothes that have been dumped from different countries into the country. Some of them, they come with diseases and people are not even aware. They buy clothes in the street because people are poor. Yeah. And so there's a lot. So I truly believe that there are good benefits that Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement is going to bring. And we are blessed because our president this year is chairing the Africa Union. Okay. And one of the things that South Africa has been asked to look after is Africa's infrastructure development. So for those entrepreneurs that are in the infrastructure space, solutions that you design, innovations that you design in the infrastructure space, this is the opportunity for South African Inc. to influence and contribute to the continental's Africa, the infrastructure development on the continent.